All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday, May 17th. Got a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like in the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. Yesterday, we had to sweat it out. We go 5 and 4. Don't need to go through all of the plays, because again, 9 plays to recap there, but a 5 and 4 night. I think the one that I'm most, I guess, salty about, like, oh, that could have been, actually 2 of them. The Braves' first 5 team total under, they finished at 2. They had 2 runs going into the 9th inning, so the fact that we had that under 1.5, they scored 2, that was a bummer. And then the Mets and the Yankees, man, finishing at 8 runs. If the Mets just showed up, we might be looking at a win there, right? So a couple of the losses I feel like, we could have got there. The Guardians' money line, they put up a fight. The Reds just scored 1,000,000 runs right at the beginning of the game, so unfortunate to see there. And I guess the other loss would be Sean Murphy, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He hit the home run. I think he had, that might have been the two runs that they scored. So, yeah, I said we wouldn't go through all of them. We just went through all the losses. Figures. But, guys, let's go ahead and take some of that momentum, because, again, 5 and 4, we'll take it. It's not the best, but let's take some of those winning momentum feelings and bring it over into today's slate. How does that sound, right? Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 1 here. Game number 2 of the Subway Series. So, yesterday, like I said, we had the over. They finished at 8. That was Rodon and McGill. McGill didn't look all that phenomenal. Rodon actually pitched fine. Today we have a little bit different of a story here. We have Griffin Canning on the mound going up against Clark Schmidt. Griffin Canning's kind of struggled on the road this year, so that bodes well for us because we do like the over yet again. Now, Clark Schmidt has had a better, in this small sample, has better home starts so far this year than he has on the road. He's been really good against righties, and there is a decent amount of righties in this lineup here today, but his struggles come against the left-handed side. That means Lindor, Soto, right at the beginning of the order, he's going to have to deal with. He's going to throw a lot of cutters. Those guys love that pitch as well, so I think from a side perspective, I'm actually going to look at the plus money Mets in this spot, but yeah, the over 9.5 seems like it could be another spot to go. Just a matter of if I'm terrified of doing that after yesterday. Am I scarred because we rolled with it and it didn't come through? But we didn't hit it yesterday. We probably don't end up rolling with it today, and then it's an obvious cash because that's just how it works, right? All right, Cubs taking on the White Sox. Yesterday, a high-scoring game, I guess you could say, definitely for the Cubs side of things. That final score 13-3. Wind was crazy. I think the winds died down a little bit there in Chicago, so not expected to be as crazy of a total, but that total's still at 10. I would probably lean a little bit towards a White Sox team total under here. They're going to get a lot of fastball, a lot of slider, a lot of changeup from Boyd, and they don't hit that pitch well. My one little concern, I guess, is they actually are better against lefties over the last 30 days, the White Sox offense, than they are righties. Matthew Boyd obviously being a righty, but even yesterday in those windy conditions and whatnot, I mean, they put up 3 runs. If we can get them for a, under 3.5, under 4.5 today, in fact, let me see what the actual number is. That would probably be where I take a peek, because it's almost like you just have to pitch okay against this squad. Yeah, under 3.5 is plus 105 right now. Under 4.5, minus 170. So that's a little bit too juiced. But obviously that 3.5 for plus money is enticing. In terms of where we go from a side perspective, I think I'm kind of tipping off my hand there. I think this is a Cubs spot, but can we really justify minus 200, minus 280? I don't think so. We could look at a first 5 run line, though. But again, all this is kind of based on the idea that I think the White Sox offense is going to stink. And what if they just do what they've been doing, which is hit lefties a little bit better, right? Now, Matthew Boyd is a good lefty pitcher, but he hasn't exactly, he's been Mr. Consistent, but he's only been pitching like 4 or 5 innings, 2, 3 earned runs. So if the White Sox get 3 off him through 5, I don't know if I trust that bullpen to suppress it anymore. So a lot of what we just talked about in this one might be kind of like, oh yeah, what if type of plays, because there's a lot of question marks in this game. All right, Toronto taking on Detroit. Cashed in with this one yesterday. We had a half unit on Detroit money line and a half unit on their team total over, both of which came through. Today we have Reese Olson going up against Eric Lauer. I don't think he's made a start yet, but he has a handful of innings out of the bullpen, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let me confirm that. Yeah, so 3 games, 0 starts, and 9 innings pitched from Lauer. Reese Olson, on the other hand, obviously has plenty of starts under his belt, and he's been really good. 3 of his last 5 starts, he's allowed 0 earned runs. He's pitched 5 or more innings in them. This Toronto team, obviously, offensively has been looking very good, and they made things a little bit dicey yesterday. That being said, why did we like Jack Flaherty yesterday? Because of the pitch mix. We have a similar pitch mix in terms of at least slider percentage today, and this is a Toronto team that, though they're very good, if a guy can throw a good slider, which Reese Olson can, I think it's worth considering backing that squad. So I like the Tigers here on the money line yet again. Going to take them on the money line, and today I would say team total over, but, you know, even though it was, we get 3.5 yesterday, they scored 5 runs. It seems like it was a no sweat. There was definitely some sweat in behind that, and we don't necessarily know exactly what we're getting out of this Toronto pitching staff, right? They might throw a bunch of different guys today because they're starting with a reliever. So, yeah, I guess I would say exactly what we did yesterday. Detroit and their team total over, but at least yesterday we were able to base it off of Bowden Francis's pitch mix and all that. Who's to say the Tigers, don't get kind of caught up against a bunch of bullpen arms today, if that is going to be the Jays, I guess, go-to, right? They do have a fairly decent bullpen in terms of guys being taxed. I would say that, Green, Little, Rodriguez, and Flaherty went yesterday, but that was 15, 21, 17, 19 pitches. They have a bunch of other guys that could still go, right? So, especially guys like, I think, did Flaherty go yesterday? Yeah. Anyways, I would still say Detroit team total over and the money line. Not as confident as yesterday, but those both do have chances of being final play. In terms of where we go from a total, I guess Detroit team total would be that. And then I think we had a player prop mapped out on this one. Let me confirm there. Another. I almost have this as a stand-in right now. Vladdy over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. We're yet to roll with it, but yes, he's going up against a righty. But Reese Olson does struggle against the righties. But Vladdy hits the slider and the sinker really well. Those are 2 of the first 3 pitches there for Reese Olson. So I thought about him. We thought about it yesterday. Didn't roll with it. I still do think it's a Detroit spot though. So Vladdy, even though he's been trending and crushing this line, and you're getting some good value, still falls to the bottom of the pecking order, I would say. All right, real quick, guys, before we move on with the slate, I want to talk to you about Prize Picks. Right now, if you sign up over on Prize Picks using code GUYBOSTON or using the link down in the description as well as the pinned comment, all you have to do is place a $5 entry as a new customer, right? You get $50 instantly. You 10x that $5 entry. What if that entry cashes? You get the payout from it as well, so you have a nice little bankroll building over there on Prize Picks. If you guys don't know what Prize Picks is, it's really cool. You just pick more or less based on player set projections. The more you get correct, the more you get paid out in your entry. And they got a couple cool things going on right now. Jokic for Game 7 that takes place tomorrow, a 0.5 points line. So you throw that into your entry, it's just going to boost the payout, right? And they also have a WNBA protected play for today if you opt in. So check it out, guys. Again, that link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment, or just use code GUYBOSTON when signing up. I'm sure you've seen Prize Picks all over. You've thought about signing up before, but guess what? Now's the day to do so, right? All of this action, and you get the $5 turning it into $50 promo right now. And yes, it is as fun as everyone says it is. You can get a play and more action in on the game. Boom, boom, boom. That simple, right? Go check it out. That link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. Let's jump back into the rest of these games. We got a bunch more to dive into. All right, Baltimore taking on Washington. So this Baltimore team is just... I almost can't go near them, right? Now, Washington wins yesterday. You can even watch back yesterday. I really wanted to get to Washington some way, somehow, but they're still Washington, right? They're 2-8 in their last 10. Baltimore, also 2-8 in their last 10. So you have 2 teams that just do not really know what winning is right now. What I will say about this is Jake Irvin compared to Kyle Gibson, I would say, Kyle Gibson has, 2 or 3 starts on the season, and he has stunk out loud in all of them. Now, I believe it was against the Yankees and then 2 other mediocre offenses. Don't have that up. Actually, Kansas City might have been one of them. So, yeah, maybe you can't even excuse him. I was going to give him a little bit of grace there, but Jake Irvin has gone up against Atlanta, Cleveland, Philadelphia, the Mets, and has start before that was in Colorado. He actually pitched okay. I would say that Washington has the pitching advantage here, which is crazy to say because even though Baltimore can hit lefties, they've been struggling against the right-handed bats as well. 19th in terms of average, striking out the third most time. Their best things are some power numbers, which I give them credit there. But even that, it's kind of like, 9, 10, 11 ranked. So I can't sit here and say that they're going to absolutely go off today. They're going to see a lot of curveballs, a lot of fastballs. Anything you throw their way, they don't really have the best numbers against. So yeah, for plus 140, I'll lean towards Washington. Do I have the stones to get it down myself? Probably not, because you still have the Washington bullpen backing these guys, and you still have Washington's offense that, yes, Kyle Gibson has stunk out loud, but like, if there's any team that he's going to pitch well against, it could be here, and they're bad against righties as well. So, yes, in theory, Washington is probably the side, but you know what? Might be a little bit too much psycho-ish for me, so I'm going to sound the psycho alert alarm there. Washington money line. I also don't mind the over, just because I think both pitchers are bad, but like I said, you're playing with fire at that point, so rolling the dice, because both pitchers could get hit up, at least Kyle Gibson certainly, but you got to remember, it's still Baltimore and Washington's offense on the other side of things. All right, Miami taking on the Rays. We have Rasmussen on the mound going up against Alcantara, which, you'd sit there and you hear the name and you're like, here we go, like Sandy's going to do us right. He's been like really bad this year, and I think it's safe to say he's not the 2022 pitcher he was. He's got an 8.1 ERA, 1.64 whip, a FIP of 5.6, average against 265, yeah, this guy's been struggling, and he's going up against a pitcher today, Andrew Rasmussen, who's been very, very good. Now, offensively, I can't sit here and say that, the Rays have a massive advantage. What did they lose yesterday? 8-4, something like that, right? I do think that there is a pitching advantage, but I really don't know if, the Rays can put up a big number. So I'm going to say Rays, but minus 145. And I feel like a lot of the games we've talked about so far have been like, I like the side, but, and then this big reason why I might not like it. It just is what it is. I don't control how confident I am in something. It's the numbers and it's the feeling, right? Which I guess technically to some degree I control. But to me, it's like, yes, the Rays all day long. I think that they have the better pitcher, the better bullpen, and their lineup on any given day could be better. But for minus 150, seems a little pricey there too, especially given the fact that, we're going to see a lot of fastballs, a lot of sinkers. These are pitches they don't necessarily hit all that well. In fact, the more that I look at this, it's kind of shaping up to be a play that I might like the first 5 under. You have a team in which this season, Miami's only averaging 1.74 runs in the first 5, and then Tampa Bay 2.16. You know what I mean? So if we can get an under 5 in this one, under 4.5, maybe that's the look. The problem being is that, yeah, we got to trust Sandy Alcantara, which he's been kind of diabolical if you've been rolling with him this year, right? But overall, Drew Rasmussen here on the season in terms of him in the first 5, looks like he's been okay. 63% of the games have hit the under. On his road starts, he's 1-1 against it, and then we flip it over to Sandy Alcantara. At home, yeah, that's where you get trouble. 4 straight starts of going over. But you know what? A lot in 3 of those, so 3 of the 4 that they've gone over, it looks like their offense was the one that was kind of getting going. So yeah, you know what? First 5 under 4.5. We just that wasn't even something that I really had prepared or anything. Just kind of came across that now. But Sandy Alcantara hopefully can do his thing because I think his pitch mix looks pretty good against his Rays offense. And then Rasmussen just has to keep doing what he's been doing, right? I mean, he had kind of a shaky start against whoever he played Milwaukee, maybe, but I think he's been still pretty damn good this year, at least through the first 5. And a player prop that I'm considering is going to be Drew Rasmussen under 1.5 walks. He's hit the under here in 6 of 8 starts so far this year. And he's going up against Miami, who in terms of their walk rate, bottom 10 on the season against righties, and then bottom 9 in the last 30. Strikeout to walk to strikeout rate, 24th and 22nd. So yeah, it could be a decent spot. Right now, I think he's averaging, let's see if I have that up. Yes, walks per 9. He's only averaging 2 walks per 9. So throw that into a spot in which he's probably going to pitch, 6 innings or so. This could be a decent spot to look at. So yeah, keep an eye on the final plays. We might go Drew Rasmussen under 1.5 walks. Miami doesn't walk all that much either. Philadelphia taking on Pittsburgh. We got Zach Wheeler on the mound going up against Carmen Malinsky. Philly wins 8-4 yesterday, and kind of everything I said yesterday applies here. I do think this is another good spot for Philly. The problem is the price, right? But, if you wanted to look at Philly team total over, I wouldn't mind it, but I think I might want to pivot to a Pittsburgh team total under. Fastball is going to be what Zach Wheeler throws. He gets a lot of swing and misses on pretty much all his pitches, but fastball is going to be his main pitch here. Pittsburgh, that's the worst pitch that they have. And then he throws the curve, the slider, the splitter, the sinker, the cutter, a bunch of other pitches. The only pitch that they really hit well is the changeup and the knuckle curve. I didn't say either one of those pitches, right, in terms of this Pirates offense. So I don't mind the idea of fading their offense to some degree. Right now, in terms of their first 5, you can get their under 1.5 for -140. If you want to just go full game, which I think is what I'm slightly leaning towards here, you can go under 3.5 for -150, a little bit more juice. But we even saw yesterday them kind of like scrounge out 4. They scored, was it? I think they scored either 2 in the 9th or 1 in the 9th to get that third and fourth, or I forget which one it was. So that would be where I look. Again, it's a Philly kind of take. It's just hard with the pricing to get to anything truly Philly related. So we're kind of beating around the bush to get there, right? Now, in terms of player props, I do think this is a spot in which you can consider some unders on the Pirates side of things. Maybe look at some of their better players and get some better numbers here. So 3 that jumped off the page to me, and we'll see if we end up rolling with it, would be Andrew McCutchen, under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He's going to see fastball, slider, 2 pitches in which he doesn't hit all that particularly well. So, boom, now this is kind of feeding into the team total under, right? Because now these guys, like McCutchen, may not have good games. He had a really good game yesterday. Let's come back down to earth today. You also have Brian Reynolds, who doesn't really hit. He hasn't been hitting all that phenomenally. The fastball and slider, also 2 good pitches in terms of us backing Zach Wheeler today. So, again, 2 guys that are pretty good for this Pirates team, fading them. And then the last one, I believe, was Joey Bart. This is just based on average against right-handed pitcher. He does hit the fastball well, so if anything, this was the one that gets left off the list. But he's batting righties pretty poorly, so that's why I have him on the list. But I would say Reynolds and McCutchen are the 2 that I would look at and say, you know what, I think that we could fade those guys today, which is tough because that's their 2 and 3 hitter, 2 and 3 hitter if I'm not mistaken, right? So a little dicey there, but it's how to back Zach Wheeler in some way, shape, or form, right? But again, I would say anything Philly related I agree to in this one. And then in terms of a total, I'm liking the Philly team total over. And then those player props I mentioned. Guys, real quick, I want to talk to you about a new merch drop that we have over on the Fade Me store, fademe.store or guybostonsports.com/store. It's this summer's version of the They Don't Boo Nobodies. Because you know what? They're booing you. That means you're doing something right? They don't boo nobody. You can see the front print right here. I do have an image right there, but you can see the back. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it. Could you see it? Pretty cool, pretty simple. They don't boo nobodies. There's tons of other stuff over on the store as well. Again, fademe.store or guybostonsports.com/store. It takes you right there, both of those links, to the same Fade Me storefront. So if you want to support us and pick up some great merch at the same time, consider heading over there. Again, fademe.store. Pick up a They Don't Boo Nobodies tee. Super good quality. I always say that when we plug our merch. Like, we're not just taking a crappy blank t-shirt and slapping a logo on it. No, this is stuff that we sample and get just right and make sure that it is worth putting out to the people. So yeah, consider it, guys. Again, pick up some merch. You get some great quality and it's at a good, very, very, very good price, and help support us. So consider that fademe.store. All right, we have Cleveland taking on Cincinnati. Hit a player prop in this one last night and then lost the money line play on Cleveland there, right? I mean, Cincinnati just got off to the races early. Looks like we're going to have Slade Ciccone pitching for Cleveland, who I believe he's yet to make a start in the pros this year, right? I know he was injured, and then I think he was in their AAA program. He's going up against, looks like Chase Petty is going to be the primary pitcher, but starting for the Cincinnati team, maybe a bullpen arm. Regardless, I do think that I'm looking right back to Cleveland here. I think there's the better offense overall, and they have the better bullpen. More consistent, I should say, because Cincinnati's bullpen has been okay. But to me, you're going to get a bunch of sliders from Chase Petty. If that thing's on from him today, then sure, Cleveland may struggle. But even yesterday, I thought that was a Cleveland spot, and maybe I'm just like blinded by the light or something, thinking that they are the better team. When you even look at their records here, I believe Cleveland's 25-19, and Cincinnati's like right behind them. So this is a spot in which, yeah, if you think this is a coin flippy game, the plus money on the Cincinnati may make sense to you, but to me, it's Cleveland all day long. In terms of what we have from a total, I would say a slight lean to the under. I think 10's a little bit too high. I think one of these offenses, I don't want to give too much credit to the pitchers. Again, I think it's like either Brent Suter I might have seen, and then Chase Petty pitching for the Cincinnati, but then even Slade Ciccone. Like, I'm not giving too much credit for them, but I think one of these offenses has an off day. I mean, even yesterday, got off to the races early with Cincinnati, right? They still only scored those 5 runs. So, and that would have stayed under this line. All right, next up, we have Texas taking on Houston. That sounds weird to say out loud, but Texas has Tyler Mahle on the mound going up against Ronel Blanco. In terms of these guys' recent starts here, Blanco coming off a really good one against Cincinnati. 8 innings pitched, just 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 11 Ks, 1 walk. Mahle coming off of, decent games as well. He's got a 1.2 ERA over his last 5. Has he had the hardest of competitions? I wouldn't say that, but you can even look back at his start against the Dodgers. That was only 5 starts ago. 7 innings, 2 hits, 4 strikeouts. Did have 3 walks, but no earned. Like, he's obviously pitching very, very well. The season numbers would say that, the Texas has the pitching advantage too. So I don't mind leaning in their direction. I think it's going to be a fairly low-scoring game. So I think Texas gets the advantage there because of, I think Houston just has a better offense. But had this been a game in which I think there's going to be some more runs and whatnot, I would end up leaning towards Houston. So I'm going to lean Texas because I think that they can kind of scrape out a low-scoring game, and I think they have the better starting pitcher here. So maybe, come the 6th inning or so, they're going to be in a better situation. But I also don't mind, and again, we've rolled with it once already in this series, and it was all right. I don't mind the idea of a first 5 under here. You have 2 pitchers that have good numbers against this, the current rosters on each side. You can get under 5 for, minus 130 right now seems like a fair price. And you throw in the fact that, like I said, both pitchers have some good numbers against the opposing roster. Tyler Mahle, 50 plate appearances against, an expected batting average against of 209, expected WOBA of 255. Flip it over Ronel Blanco, 75 plate appearances against, a 222 expected batting average against, 308 expected WOBA, right? So hopefully this is a spot in which you can have Ronel Blanco pitch okay, because he's actually been pretty damn bad on the road this year. So we don't want that Ronel Blanco. We want a Ronel Blanco that looks like he can kind of reel it in. In terms of these guys so far this year, first 5, Ronel Blanco's hit the under in 63% of his games, under 5. I believe that is 5, 2, and 1 in terms of that. On the road, he's done in 2 of 3. Flip it over to Tyler Mahle. At home this year, he's done it in 5 straight, and on the season, he's done it in, I want to say that was 5. Yeah, 6. He's 6, 2, and 1 as well to that number. So, decent spot here for first 5 under. But like I said, Texas on the money line is probably where I end up leaning from a side perspective. But I think I've talked myself into the first 5 under being the favorite play in this game now. All right, next up, we got KC taking on St. Louis. Michaelis on the mound going up against Noah Cameron. Not going to act like I know a lot about this guy, but that wasn't funny. I was looking for more of a little drum snare. So Noah Cameron, 1 start so far this season. It was against Tampa Bay back in, almost a month ago. Decent, right? 1 hit through 6 1/3, 5 walks, though, only 3 strikeouts. That could be a little bit of a concern in terms of how this matchup panned out yesterday. It ended up being a 10, right? I think St. Louis got to 10-3 win for St. Louis. With Michaelis on the mound, I do think that the Royals can put up a little bit better of a number than they did yesterday, but we really do have to hope that, this is a spot in which the Royals can put up a number, because that's been their issue, I feel like, all year. And I shouldn't even say I feel like. Their issue has been their offense all year. So, I don't really want to sit here and say that Michaelis is going to trust them. I think that this could be a decent spot for an over. But ultimately, you do have the Cardinals' better offense. Michaelis has more pitching under his belt, similar bullpens. I guess for plus money, I'd have to lean towards St. Louis on the money line, but I almost want to say over is what I'm looking at. That, or if we want to really strip out variables, and you guys know that I like to do that. That's one of my best MLB or favorite MLB strategies, is trying to isolate the thing you actually like. If you like the pitcher, maybe look at the opposing team total under, so you don't have to worry about the offense. Blah, 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 that type of stuff. If I do think that this is a spot in which, maybe the Cardinals can get some guys on base and score, and Michaelis isn't really the guy that I like, maybe we just look at a St. Louis team total over. You can get over 3.5 right now. They've done this in 4 of 5 against Kansas City, dating back to last year. This season, they've done it in 30 of 45. In terms of what we have for weather, I feel like that would be good to know. I should know that, right? A little bit of wind blowing in, but nothing too crazy. Maybe St. Louis team total over could be a look in this one. We are paying a little bit of juice for it, but for them to go out there and get 4 runs, a team that's averaging 4.93 over their last, on the season, of their last 3, they're averaging 8.33. That's going to be a spot, I think. St. Louis team total over. That way we don't have to really back Michaelis at all. All right, Boston taking on Atlanta. We have Grant Holmes on the mound for Atlanta going up against Lucas Giolito. Both of these guys are going to throw a lot of fastballs, and I guess the next pitch for both will be the changeup for Giolito and then the slider for Holmes. Looks like the Red Sox, because they can hit the slider, because they can hit the fastball, maybe in a better offensive situation here. Giolito obviously doesn't have the most amount of starts under his belt in general. I believe he has, 3 starts and only one of them being at home, and that was the one in which he got rocked in. But ultimately, I do think, again, I kind of trust him a little bit more than I would Grant Holmes, just because he's pitching to an Atlanta offense that I don't think is just far gone, like, oh, they're back. Like, there could still be some arguments to be made that this Atlanta offense is going to be going up and down. But, lately they've been giving you pretty much consistent, like 4 runs per game. So I do give them credit for that. But the Red Sox have a little bit more boom potential, especially in a matchup like this. So yeah, at home, coming off of 2, actually they got swept by the Tigers, right? So 3 or 4 straight losses. I do think the Red Sox are primed to bounce back here. We saw a pitching duel between Crochet and Sale yesterday. Very good watching. I think we see a little bit different today. I'm going to go towards the over, as well as the Red Sox on the money line. Milwaukee taking on Minnesota turned out to be a low-scoring win for Minnesota, like I kind of thought yesterday. We didn't roll with it ourselves, so we can't victory lap or anything like that. But today we have Pablo Lopez on the mound going up against Tobias Myers. Myers looks like he's kind of getting his footing. He has yet to pitch real deep into a game. I think he went to the 6th inning against Houston, but other than that, it's been like 2, 3, 4 innings. He's going up against Pablo Lopez that has been consistent. I mean, he had one bad start, and that was his last start. It was, I want to say that was also on the road, if I'm not mistaken. But ultimately, still having a phenomenal year. 2.7 ERA, 0.97 whip, 2.5 FIP. Expected FIP only jumps to 303, 211 in terms of his average against. So yeah, I think this is a good spot for Minnesota yet again. The problem is that Minnesota's been winning a million games in a row, and I've said it already. I don't know if I want to jump on the bandwagon now, right? But even if we use our dashboard here, you guys can see, and I'll explain how to get access to our dashboard in just a second, but we have 2 pitchers that are going to throw a pretty hefty amount of fastballs, right? And you can even say, fastball and then slider, because Pablo throw that as well. Look at these 2 bats. Minnesota hits the fastball. Well, you can even see via their players, all but a couple guys hit the fastball really well. Milwaukee, not so much. 19th in terms of runs above average. Fastball, nothing really jumping out there, right? You throw in the fact that they throw the slider. Okay, well, some of the bigger bats here in the lineup will hit the slider as well, and they're 12th in the league. So offensively, I think they have an advantage. You can see the bullpen bottom left of your screen have an advantage as well. So I think this is going to be a spot in which Minnesota is of consideration. But again, my problem is that every win streak has to come to an end. They have been winning for a million years now, it seems like. So they've won so many in a row. At some point, they're going to lose, and it's probably me jinxing it if I jump on board with it. So I go Minnesota, as well as, potentially their team total over. I don't know how much I like Milwaukee hitting Pablo today. So Minnesota and their team total over is what I'd consider here. Access to the dashboard is simple. GuyBostonSports.com. Head over to the members area, top right of your screen. Click MLB Dashboard. I'm logged in, so I will see the dashboard right away. You can open the dashboard up, and you're going to get each and every game broken out in a visual format, helping you optimize and go through your research process even quicker, right? If you're not logged in, you'll see something that says this. It's going to say, hey, you need a membership for that. Membership is very, very simple. You can click view membership levels, and you'll see you have the all sports, meaning you get the NBA and MLB. You could do just NBA if you want, or just MLB. And whatever price you jump in at, as long as you keep that subscription active, even if we raise the price because we add something really cool to it and it ups the price a little bit, makes it a little bit more valuable, you stick around at the price that you got in at, as long as it stays active. So yeah, GuyBostonSports.com. Consider getting access to the dashboard today. I built this for myself to help me optimize and make my research process more and more efficient. And now we're bringing it to you guys. So yeah, check it out, guys. GuyBostonSports.com. Arizona taking on Colorado. Arizona won 8-0 yesterday. Corbin Burns looked okay. Now we have Zach Gallen on the mound. And I do look at, an under in the first 5 for a team total of Colorado, maybe their full game team total as well. But after scoring 0 runs, you got to think at some point they might be heading out there and going to win by a little bit more, right? Or not win by, put up a little bit more of a score or a fight. So because of yesterday, that probably gets scratched from our board, if I'm being honest, just because, again, we have a spot in which they went off. In terms of, I guess, another way of doing it, though, is like, yeah, I love Zach Gallen, but we could also just consider, Arizona in maybe some sort of a parlay where it's them on the money line and them scoring over 2.5 runs or over 3.5, something like that to kind of get this going, because I do think Zach Gallen here at home is in a good spot to kind of get things going and get things right. He pitches the fastball a lot. We know that. This is a Colorado team that really struggles against fastball, so great, right? Unfortunately, if we like the angles, odds are we're not going to be able to outsmart the books today because they've already jumped to a crazy, crazy price in this one. So Arizona, their team total over, or Colorado's team total under, some way, shape, or form. Unfortunately, I think we've lost the race to getting anything in that has like true value though. Actually, maybe we spoke too soon with that. I do think that looks like we have some value on a player prop here in terms of the trend it's been hitting at and the matchup. So Ezekiel Tovar under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs against Zach Gallen. He has some good numbers, but in theory, he shouldn't, right? I mean, Zach Gallen's really good against the right-handed bats, and 189 average against. He's going to see a lot of fastballs. His WOBA drops to a 205 against the fastball. The curve is the next pitch. He doesn't hit that all that well. So, yeah, maybe we do have a good spot in Ezekiel Tovar's under here. I do like him, but again, under may be a good look. And then Ryan McMahon, another guy that we've cashed in plenty with his under hits, runs, and RBIs. This could be a good spot as well. Again, it comes down to the pitch mix, the curve, the changeup, the slider, everything but the fastball. He hits poorly. The fastball he hits well. Zach Gallen's going to throw that fastball up in the zone. Looks like McMahon hits it a lot better when it's down in the zone. Now, he has some really good numbers. 42 plate appearances against, he got 10 hits, 5 RBIs off of Gallen. So, sure, maybe that's one. I think, Tovar is probably one that we like a little bit more. But both of those are a way to back Gallen and back, the idea that we don't think Colorado's going to have the best offensive game, but we're just picking 2 players that do it. But Tovar probably ranks supreme. I think we have a chance of making that a final play. All right, Padres taking on Seattle. We can go through this one quickly because much like we talked about losing some value in the last game, I feel the same right here. I think this is a really good spot for the Padres, especially given the fact that, they're in a bounce-back situation after losing 5-1 yesterday. But now you have Emerson Hancock on the mound going up against Pivetta. And Pivetta off of a really bad start against Colorado, right, in Colorado. So it's like this, everything lines up for this Padres team to get out and rock. But minus 190 is a little bit too much to ask. Now, I will say I don't hate the idea of biting the bullet and looking at them in the first 5 run line. Now you're pretty much telling me, okay, Pivetta versus Hancock, game on, you know what I mean? And Pivetta this year at home in the first 5, all 4 starts they have covered in. With Hancock on the mound, on the road, they've actually been okay to the plus 0.5. I want to say it's like, his last 5 of his 6 starts, something like that. So it's going to come down to, really trusting Pivetta here, but also, I guess, trusting the fact that this should be a Padres offense that can hit him pretty well. If he goes to the slider, the fastball, anything like that, they should hit. The one concern is they haven't been the best against sinker pitchers. They're hitting a lot of ground balls against it, Hancock being a pretty big sinker pitcher. But again, ultimately, I do think that this Padres team can step it up a little bit. So can we bite the bullet and say, okay, Pivetta, go get him? Potentially. The little drawback would be that Hancock, even though I think the Padres can hit him, if Hancock's on with the sinker, it plays right into the weakness of the Padres, which could be tough to get guys on base. So, yeah, give me San Diego. I would also say from a total perspective, maybe their team total over or a full game over. I think that long-term, I think the Padres put up a good number here, even if they have to get to Seattle's bullpen, who's just kind of middling right now. San Fran taking on the Athletics. We have Landon Roop on the mound going up against Luis Severino. As much as I don't like to back this guy, I would say for the plus 135, I think the A's may be the spot to consider and sprinkle on here. Severino against this current Giants roster, 67 plate appearances against, 24% K rate, 10.4% walk rate. That ain't all that great, but an average against of 138, an expected batting average against of 174. So obviously looking pretty good. He's going to throw the fastball, the cutter, the slider. Those are all decent pitches against this squad. The one problem might be if he goes to a sinker, which he throws about 25% of the time. San Francisco, the best team in the league at hitting the sinker over the last 30 days. So, yeah, that's a little worrisome. But ultimately, you're going to get the sinker curve from Landon Rope. I think that we could see Athletics hit that okay. So, yeah, I'm going to lean towards the A's in this spot. I don't think that we've actually made the A's in any way, shape, or form other than like in unders a final play yet this year. This could be the first time. I do think that for plus 1, what do we say they're at? Plus 1 updated odds here. The A's for plus 135, plus 138, it may be worth considering. I mean, the bullpen stinks. They're going up against a San Fran bullpen. That's good. So if we cut this to the first 5, let's see, real-time odd shopping here. So if we cut this to the first 5, A's first 5 money line, you're looking at plus 120. You lose a little bit of value there, but again, I don't really like Roop, and I think that Severino has the upper hand, and offenses could be argued which one's better. So yeah, A's, and then I guess from a total perspective, maybe an over. I don't know. I don't really have much of a read on the total as much as I think there could be a flyer play here on the A's. All right, next up, we have the Dodgers taking on the Angels. We have Clayton Kershaw listed to go here for the Dodgers. That's exciting going up against Tyler Anderson. This Dodgers team obviously should be able to get to them, right? In terms of Tyler Anderson, yes, they struggled against lefties. Now they're very good. I would say that this is a Dodgers or pass for me. Maybe a Dodgers first 5 run line, back in Kershaw, that type of thing. And throw in the fact that they lost, what was it, 6-3 yesterday? 6-2, actually. Yeah, they probably end up bouncing back with a somewhat of a big number. So I'll take Dodgers team total over. I'll take the full game over, and maybe Dodgers in that first 5 run line situation. Overall, back in Kershaw against Anderson. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, go ahead, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Keep an eye on the final plays. If you are interested, absolutely free down in the pinned comment. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.